Who comes and stops us in our tracks? Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good morning, everyone. Oh yeah, and Instagram's already on fire. Isabel and Kenny, welcome to the Daily Reflection. Isabel, I haven't seen you before. I'll give you a little idea what I do is we go live each day and talk about daily reflections. Right now we're doing daily reflections with AA. We've been doing this a couple years. We do this every day. So you can always watch the rewatch later. It's kind of inconsistent. So I'll let you know that. That way there's not any surprises there. Yeah, I hope everybody had a good holiday. It's over. It's done. It's in the books. I'm done with it. Whoa. The Kit Kats are having fun. All right. But they're not being in the whiny, so we're good. Oh, tear it up, dude. Tear it up. Having a good old time over there. I'm glad to see that. I'm starting to get to a point where I was feeling a little bad for them. Okay. So, good morning, Gary. Good to see you. Quit asking me how I'm feeling, dude. You ask me like every 20 minutes. I love you, dude, but quit asking me. I'm sick. I will be sick for another probably week. So don't ask. I'll do the best that I can. Gary, how are you doing? I'm not the one that went through surgery. So how are you doing, brother? I heard you're getting out and about and doing really well, man. Gary just had his bariatric surgery last week. He's home, recovering on a good path, man. I'm proud of you, dude. So, and for anybody that's gonna hook on here, I apologize. I know I haven't been Mr. Yacky and talky, but I've needed my rest, man. And yesterday I just wanted to hang out with my wife. I didn't want to be around anybody. I just wanted to be by my wife. I watched Broncos lose for a little bit and went to bed. Woke up to find out that I was correct. We lost. So it was worth the sleep. So I decided to jump on over to Colorado Avalanche this morning. Go with a winning team. Actually, that was not on purpose. Hey, Carrie, good to see you, honey. Made my day seeing you. So, and I'm grabbing what I can because I know that I haven't been up very long. I'm already ready for bed, man. But no, no, the dreams are getting, woo. They weren't nightmares last night. No, everybody was still in them, but I was like, no, you're not doing that. No, you're not doing that. No, you're not doing that. This is my dream. I'm taking over. I'm doing this, this, and this. This is really weird. Let's get to the daily reflections. I think that's the most I've said in a week. Problem solving. Cool. We talked about this in the meeting yesterday. I don't quite remember it. Yeah, still a little sore. Good. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. Wait a minute. I thought acceptance was the... Oh, we've got... So it is kind of cool that I have that people are actually watching me from YouTube, even though they're not really watching. They're just putting... Yeah, if you want to watch some porn, what's his name is? How do I get rid of that? Let's see if I can. Yeah, I can. There you go. Block user on YouTube. There we go. dude. And put user in timeout. Oh, you were in timeout, motherfucker. I have the power. Oh, did you see the little red thing? All right. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 42. Isn't 42 the answer to everything, to life and all problem? Kind of weird, huh? If you're a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan, right? Kind of goes in with it. Morning, Jackie. I didn't see you pop on. I hear you, Carrie. Now, Carrie was just saying she took a week to sleep. Yeah, everybody's been getting this cold, man. I don't even go. I still got it somehow. I don't know how. My niece, I'm thinking. No, what are you gonna do? So this is in the middle of a story, and I don't like doing that. All right, two of the members of Alcoholics Anonymous came to see me. They grinned, which I did not like so much, and then asked me if I thought myself alcoholic and if I were really licked this time. I had to concede both propositions. They piled on me heaps of evidence to the effect that an alcoholic mentality, such as I had exhibited in Washington, was a hopeless condition. They cited cases of their own experience by the dozen. This process snuffed out the last flicker of conviction that I could do the job myself, right? That denial that we go through, right? That we decide to put ourselves through too. We decide to put ourselves through it, right? And then a couple of guys came along and snuffed it out. It wasn't there anymore. He couldn't utilize it anymore. They got rid of it. That's how we can help when other people cannot. We have experiences where other people can relate to. And since our experience is fact, your experience is fact. And it happened. It actually happened. Sometimes I sit here and I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that actually happened. This doesn't snuffed out the last flicker. Then they outlined the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them had followed successfully. Though I'd only been a nominal churchman, their proposals were not intellectually hard to swallow. But the program of action, though entirely sensible, was pretty drastic. It meant I would have to throw several lifelong conceptions out of the window. That was not easy. But the moment I made up my mind to go through with the process, I had the curious feeling that my alcoholic condition was relieved, as in fact it proved to be. Right. So we're going to give up some things. Okay. And it is going to be hard because we think that these things actually do us some good, but they are not. So what I'm asking, this is what I'm going to ask you. If you haven't gone through this process before, just be willing to give it up. Do it for a month. Let's see what God does with it. I'm going to tell you now that you're probably going to forget to take it back after you give it away, because you're going to have to give it away a lot. And then you're just going to you're going to forget to take it back is usually what happens. And I probably should have taken medicine when I got up. I haven't taken any yet. Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying, and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would not exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I will not go back even if I could. So, if there was a cure, he would not go back. Have you ever thought about that? Well, if they did have a cure, right? Would you go take it? Would you believe it? See, that's the first thing. So let's just make believe, right? We're going to make believe here a little bit. Sorry, I needed some more fan action. Forgot where I was going with that. But you guys know. Sorry, sometimes I try and walk and talk when I don't have the right brain. Then, all right. So let's get to the book here. Excuse me. Oh, I always forget this stuff, man. There's the podcast. I'm going to go ahead and put the donation one up too real quick, or I'll forget. Though the recovery process described in the big book, I've come to realize that the same instructions that work on my alcoholism work on much more. So there's a part in the big book that says, let no man tell you that he has to have this and clamor for this and clamor for that in order to get sober. And I agree with that to an extent. Okay. I believe it to the point where there's housing involved. So I'm going to put a roof over somebody's head first. I don't care what you have to say. Okay. It is a lot easier to maintain sobriety and have good recovery when you know where you're sleeping that night. And you know that it's not on the streets, that there's a nice warm bed waiting for you somewhere, even if it's a 4x4 fucking room. I'm not kidding. Giving somebody their own little space will create miracles, man. Okay. So yes, I agree with this, that our spirituality has to come first, right? Because that's where we're sickest, and everything else starts to fall into place when we do that. So work on your spirituality first. Okay. It's going to be, if you're new, it's going to be a couple months before you're feeling well physically. Okay. Well, it depends on how much you drank. There's a thing called pause, and not the pause when irritated and doubtful. It stands for post-acute withdrawal symptoms. Perry asks, say, I agree through that. I agree, especially mental health is supposed to. Yes. And Carrie and I do a lot of the same stuff. Where we've both been homeless. So that's why we know this stuff. That's why we're like, yeah, you need to put, well, what if they don't get sober? So fucking what? Everybody deserves to have a roof over their head. I don't care what you have to say. That is my very strong opinion. I tell you something that don't mean nothing. But disagree with me on it. It's because it's not disagreeable. It's my experience. See, there are some people that want to stay on the streets, and that's okay. Let them, man. Then make a space for them. So fucking what? We can make spaces for everybody else. All they want is a parking lot. Hell, I go around this town all the time, and you see empty Safeways and blah blah blah, and it's nowhere near any housing. Right? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about solving problems. Sorry. All right. Whenever I'm angry or frustrated, I consider the matter of manifestation of the main problem within me, alcoholism. As I walk through the steps, my difficulty is usually dealt with long before I reach the 12th suggestion. And those difficulties that persist are remedied when I make an effort to carry the message to someone else. These principles do not solve my problems. I have not encountered an exception. These principles do solve my problems. I'm like, okay, sorry about that, guys. And I agree. These principles do solve my problems. I have not encountered an exception, and I have been brought to a way of living which is satisfying and useful. Yeah. I'm not really feeling satisfying and useful today or for the last week, but it gets there, right? I have my weeks, I have my moments. How much time? We covered 15 minutes. Let's do this. I'm just going to read out a one day at a time real quick and we'll call it good, right? Yeah, let's do that. The central characteristics of the spiritual experience, wrote AA co founder Bill W., is that it gives the recipient a new and better motivation out of all the proportion to any access of discipline, belief, or faith. These experiences cannot make us whole at once. They are a rebirth to a fresh and certain opportunity. Do I see my assets as God's gifts, which have been in part matched, and an increasing willingness on my part to find and do His will for me? Whew. I pray for the wholeness of purpose that can only come through the spiritual experience. No amount of intellectual theory, pep talking to myself, discipline deprivation, doing it for somebody else can accomplish the same results. May I pray for spiritual enlightenment, not only in order to recover, but for itself. Today, I'll remember total motivation through spiritual wholeness. So essentially, that means what are we going to do today to get closer to God? No. What steps are we going to take? Do the best route is go to meetings, share your experience, strength, and hope, and work with others. You might find other things out there also. So, all right, guys, I've got to go take some meds or something. I'm already going downwards. So, I will see you guys tomorrow for daily reflection. I love you guys. Peace out and have a day.